Adam Taxin here with Rabbi Avi Rubenfeld of Chabad of Chesterfield, which is in the western suburbs of St. Louis. But we want to just get a little bit in about Parsha Savo, which is sort of in the middle of Deuteronomy, which is what we're reading this week, first Shabbos of September 2015 in the Torah, and it happens to be my bar mitzvah reading, even though my birthday is actually in late July, but my parents wanted to have a party when, I guess, after Labor Day, but that's relevant here. But Rabbi, give us a message from Savo.
So Savo is a very powerful Torah portion, although I've been accused and I'm guilty as charged of saying that about every single Torah portion, because it's true. However, Savo is, I think, one of the reoccurring themes that you hear over and over again in Savo is that God is telling us through Moshe that every single day it's as if God is giving you the Torah and asking you to fulfill His will and do His job. He created an imperfect world, and He asks you to make it closer to perfection than He created it. And that it repeats itself over and over again. This day, today, on this day, to reiterate and to instill within you that Hashem wants you to see it as if He came and gave you the Torah today.
So it's like, I'm just thinking of a catchy title here. Every day is a new chance to perfect yourself. Would that be true?
That's beautiful.
Okay. Well, I got to have a catchy title here, but that seems to be what you're saying. How does that relate to one's personal life and what's going on in the Torah? I mean, it's not really a narrative this week. There's not a whole lot about Moses in there, for example.
That's correct. Well, the whole book of Devarim actually is not a narrative. The book of Devarim entirely is a direct speech to the Jewish people, and the revelation is a much greater prophecy, a much greater prophecy than all of the rest of the Torah in that the first four books. In that Hashem spoke from the larynx of Moshe. Hashem spoke directly from Moshe's voice box. And the reason for that is that it's referred to as Mishnah Torah, the repetition of the Torah, but it's really a greater prophecy than the rest of the Torah. So you won't have the narratives per se like you do in the other books, because in reality, it's directly.
Let me ask you another thing about Savo. It's a pretty powerful parsha. Yeah, they all are. But here we're talking about the middle of Deuteronomy. There's a whole aspect about the blessings and the curses. And I know that's a trendy topic. People like to talk, especially this week with Obama and the Democrats caving into Iran. There's a lot of talk of Genesis 12, chapter 12, verse 3. I will bless you, I will bless the nations that bless you. I forget the exact text, I don't have it in front of me. But that's not really what it's talking about. It's really talking about the Jews and blessings and the curses. Can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So the fact is that already with Avraham Avinu, if I understood your question correctly, with Avraham Avinu already Hashem said that I will give you will be blessed. And that means to say those who bless you will be blessed, and those who curse you, as the Iranians unabashedly, unequivocally have done over and over and over again, and are not shy about it, and certainly not hesitant about it to repeat that, are certainly guilty of cursing the people over and over again. It's devastating. Anybody who's a free-thinking mind today has to be devastated by what happened today, especially this week, and especially the aspect of this week is that I think he got enough votes that even if it's doesn't win in Congress, he can still veto it and cause it to go through. And perhaps what was tremendously disappointing was the fact that a fellow by the name of I think he's now, what is he? Booker. He's a senator, right? Or
Cory Booker?
Cory
Booker.
Please.
I've been on to him for a while. That was just, first of all, the guy's a homosexual, in my opinion. And I know a lot of non-religious Jews who just, I'm going to be honest, it's just, it's so titillating to have a black man who likes us. I mean, to me, it's more, he's not one of us.
It's not about whether he likes us or not. It was the things that I've heard, at least the speeches that I've heard him say. He quoted, he learned with I believe it was Rabbi Shmuley Hecht.
Isn't it Shmuley Boteach? Is it Shmuley Boteach or a different Shmuley?
No, Shmuley Hea.
Oh, okay, because we know about Shmuley Bateach.
And he definitely made a positive impression. He knows how to talk the talk, let's put it that way. So it was pretty devastating to see, and I think it's important to realize, I think there's a shift. And I think it's important that we recognize there's been a shift in this country in that there's been a change in the fact that somebody who would like to, I might be taking a different angle than you expected, but he would certainly like to, judging from the speeches that he's made, be seen as a friend of Israel. And
well, that's because people are naive. People are naive. He's a fraud. He was a fraud in Newark. Newark's still a dump.
Regardless of what you're saying, from his perspective, he definitely didn't want to be seen in the sense of making that choice, and he did. And I think that's very telling that we have to realize in that sense that it's no longer that you can depend on, this country to say bipartisan. That everybody supports Israel, and that's a very important change. That changed now.
No, it changed a while ago. We realized it now. He's black.
That was unequivocally determined now. Let's put it that way.
He's black first, Jewish second. And I haven't forgotten the way the Congressional Black Caucus treated Netanyahu. With the exceptions of black Republicans, they're pretty much all like that. They're pretty much all like that, with a few exceptions here and there. And I think Chaka Fatah, who just was indicted, might have been a little bit better.
Everybody is certainly entitled to their opinion, but going back to or as some people like to say, everybody's entitled to my opinion, right? So going back to the Torah.
Wait, can I just finish one more thing on this? No, we're on a good topic. I'll do the editing. It'll be harder for me. I'll deal with it. But to me, I never bought into the Cory Booker. I knew he's a fraud. I'm pretty sure he's a homosexual too. That black and homosexual pretty much means, and Democrat pretty means you're not really our friend. I mean, let's be honest here. But I'd rather talk about the Barbara Boxers. I can't put in Dianne Feinstein because although she thinks she is, her mother's mother was not Jewish, and I don't really consider her Jewish. And the Al Frankens and the disgusting Jews who voted for this. That's a lot more disappointing to me than Cory Booker, even though they're even more of a pathetic breed than Cory Booker is.
Well, there's no question about that. It's not a matter of selling out, quote unquote, Israel or having a dual, that is what the Jewish people are accused of, that we have a greater loyalty to Israel than to America. I think it's that we have a greater loyalty to what America actually should stand for. And it's a very important component to understand. So somebody who would rather put what the political current, and I mean current such as, underwater current, is driving towards over what is actually best. I mean, if you have your eyes open and you're not wearing your blinders on, it is impossible for someone who's truly has their head on straight to be able to say that this is a good thing. Because it's very clear when it comes to the Iranian detail that it's not a matter of the way it's being framed right now. Most people want to say, either we have this or we go to war. That is not the option. It's either we go to war now before they have nuclear power, or the minute they have nuclear power, they will go to war and it will be a nuclear war. There's no question. They've said it. They're not ashamed to say it outright. And they generally like to say what they feel and do what they, unless lying benefits them. That's generally the avenue that they, if you listen to what they're actually saying, they say we're going to wipe Israel off the map, we're going to kill America, and once we get nuclear powers, which is, they're not afraid to say that, that's what they're going to use to further that end.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Rabbi Rubenfeld.
But it boggles their minds that people can be unable to see that, because I truly believe that the people who, like you're describing, are voting for it, are supporting it, are sincere in their support. They must believe that this is the right thing to do. And the only way I could understand that is actually to go from a previous, I think it was last week's Torah portion, we're spoke about, actually two Torah portions about judging, that a judge, when they take a bribe, literally becomes incapable of seeing the truth. Your eyes become blinded to the truth.
Well, I'd like to see their.
The only way I can understand that.
I'd like to see their offshore bank accounts. What's going on there? But by the way, I don't want to leave it that the most pathetic people are the ones, the Jews who voted for this. as opposed to Cory Booker and probably some members of Congress who simply hate Jews. I'm guessing Barbara Mikulski probably just deep down hates Jews, and members of the Congressional Black Caucus certainly do. But
it's not a Jewish issue. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I agree with you.
Jewish issue. This is a safety issue. This is
I agree. I mean,
society issue.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree with you that we are going to be the brunt of it. There's no question that the Jewish people always get it first. But that aside, this is a sane issue, a sanity issue, and it's important to recognize that. And if someone can't see that, it must mean that they're incapable of seeing. It can't be that it must be that they're blinded. Literally, and I'm not trying to berate somebody or to tarnish someone's reputation. I'm trying to really understand them. How could they see this? How can they be so foolish as to see this as? And this is not somebody who there are people out there who are always looking for doomsday and stuff like that. That's not who I am. It's not who we are. It's recognizing what they're saying and taking their word at face value. You have to recognize that that's a serious threat. That's a serious danger we're putting ourselves into.
Yeah, I just want to finish my point, and that is that the lowest of the low, in my opinion, are Charles Schumer and Ben Cardin, who waited till the votes were there so they could play Atticus Finch and be big heroes going against their party and showing integrity and the bravery that they'll be praised for, that, of course, a Republican who's really on our side, like Tom Cotton, won't be praised for. This way they can go and say, I stood against my party, and I can just see the disgusting face of Chuck Schumer doing that kind of thing. He likes to talk about how he's a shomer, a protector of Israel, and he always likes to say that garbage at AIPAC, and he, waited till they had the votes, and then he could say, I'm against this. And the same for Ben Cardin, who likes to show up at the Orthodox synagogue Beth Tefillah, which is where his family has already long been a member. Orthodox synagogue where I used to go in Maryland, modern Orthodox. He's probably riding that wave too. The same thing, though no one really looks to him as a leader.
My opinion on it's not the specific politician. I believe, I think you've heard me say this before, that politicians in diapers, and I can tell you about diapers personally, thank God, all the boys we have, politicians in diapers are the same in the sense that they have to be changed often and for the same reason.
Well, no, I don't totally agree with that, because there are plenty of Republican politicians who've been there for a while who've been great on this kind of stuff, and I don't think it's the same. I don't think you could say the same thing about Senator Shelby of Alabama, who's been there for a while, Senator Sessions of Alabama. No, I mean, and by the way, some of the Democrats who just got there suck too, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's ultimately, in order to be a politician, you have to play a game. There's no question. I'm not disagreeing with you that there are some that are making much better choices than others. No question.
Well, there are some with plenty of integrity, including.
One thing I found about politics is that politics is by nature a very dividing, and importantly, so that's not to say it's not, but it is. It's a dividing. A dividing. You know for a fact that when you get involved in politics, people are going to be very, very against each other in that sense. And the reason for that is, I like to explain it, because most people never think about it. Why is it that it divides us? It's not just because of the issues at hand. It's because, ultimately, to understand that properly, your will is a higher faculty than your wisdom, than your intellect. So somebody who wants to lean a certain way, even if you logically demonstrate to them why it's incorrect, their will is going to disagree with that for the very simple reason because they don't want to. And therefore, even if you talk them blue in the face and you demonstrate that you're correct, it's not going to change. So you have to keep that in mind. And you're not wrong in that we have to try and we have to strive to do what's right and get other people to make sure that what's right happens. But oftentimes you're going to find that it doesn't help.
I agree. Look, we're in different positions. You have to be there for all Jews, given what you do, and I'm just a loudmouth who's on the extreme right. But by the way, a lot of people may like what you're saying, and I just want to give you a chance to make a pitch to mention your website, to mention the Daily Call, which is really where I know you from, and the calls, plural, and also Rosh Hashanah services, should anyone be in, the St. Louis area and need a place to go, or, should someone simply want to be at great services in the very center of the country. So let you do that before we move on to the next topic.
Sure. So, first of all, just a little correction there. You and I got to meet on a Shabbat dinner.
Well, I know we met there, but we've really, built our relationship.
Has grown over the rhetorical is a fascinating, phenomenal ability that everybody has to join in the study Torah very briefly, mind you, for 5 to 10 minutes every single day. We call it Torah in 5. Our goal is to try to make sure the law is done within 5 minutes. And there are people from all over the country, a really wonderful, eclectic group of fellow Jews who value instilling a little bit of Torah in the day, and it's a wonderful opportunity to learn about a broad spectrum of Judaism in a very meaningful way, and a very, I'd like to think, in a very pertinent way to your life, as opposed to just hearing, something in a book that doesn't pertain to you. We try very hard to learn something that's pertinent to the current events that are going on in life, and how such as the holidays, and how the Jew can practice every single day. And additionally, at night, these are Central Times, by the way, 12:20 Central Time, and 8:30 p.m. at night at the same place, same number. We have a Chumash and Rashi class for 20 minutes, which always garners wonderful discussions afterwards.
And I want to just add Rosh Hashanah services, which I'm tentatively planning on going to. I'm going not because I need to be in Missouri, a place I have very little ties with. Yeah, I like seeing my friend Larry from college, and yeah, you have a great baseball team there. But, the reason I'm going is I want to get my year off to the right start, and I want to be with a rabbi who really reaches me. And that's you.
I appreciate that.
And that's the genuine truth. And maybe you could just mention a little bit about that, too.
Sure. The Rosh Hashanah service is going to be at the Doubletree Hotel. Everybody's welcome to join us. That's in Chesterfield, just down the street from City Hall in Chesterfield. And we have a dinner the first night. Wonderful opportunity, wonderful people. And we're importing our chazan. And I don't like to call chazan. It's really a shliach tzibur. We hear many people go to the synagogue to hear the cantor. He's a beautiful cantor, but much more than that, he's also a shliach tzibur. He knows, he's a representative of the congregation. He knows the meaning of the words. He's out really, really nicely. So we're importing him all the way from Sydney, Australia.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be enjoyable. We're gonna really have a good time.
Yeah.
So, of course, we're going to, as we always do, we'll have a running commentary explaining the significance of the prayers that the sages of old put down for us to stay on this most powerful and meaningful day. And we'll make a point that you don't just get a chance to read them, but actually understand the deeper meaning and understand how they apply to you and what the goal is for you to be able to accomplish. A lot of times we go through the motions, but we don't necessarily appreciate what it is that the motions are there to teach us. So the goal is that we enable you to understand why we go through the motions.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And the great thing is, if you're in the 48 contiguous states, you never have to go more than halfway across the country to get to Chesterfield, Missouri. Now, let's, and by the way, Chabad of Chesterfield.com is where you can find more information. But let's move on to the really current topic right now, the really big topic of today, which is this woman, Kim Davis. And during the Chumash class last night, someone asked a question during the question and answer session on any topic afterward. And it was really Judaism's view on homosexuality and also whether she's doing the right thing, which are kind of two separate matters here. Hello?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't prompt you very well there.
No, I hit the mute button. So the topic is a very, very, let's say, it's a hot button topic, that's for sure. There's no question about it. And I think people are surprised when they hear about what the Torah actually does say about this topic in general. But I think, first of all, probably the most meaningful thing to do when it comes to this is to be able to give people the ability to read more on their own. And you can do that by actually telling them about Rabbi Rappaport's book, or Chaim Rappaport's book, is Judaism and homosexuality, available wherever books are sold, on Amazon and everywhere else. And it does a very thorough job, a very, very well done book in both research and the way it's written on explaining what the Torah and what modern day Judaism within the framework of what they call Orthodox Judaism, in the sense that it stays true to the Torah, tells us about how to at the current situation in America with regard to homosexuality. So that's first and foremost.
It's pretty clearly, Judaism's pretty clearly against homosexuality, at least certainly between males, or certainly between Jewish males, and clearly not for homosexual marriage. I do have a question for you, though, if I'm not cutting you off.
No question. The Torah says unequivocally that it's an abomination before Hashem. However, and this is the point that I wanted to drive home, is that does not mean that you don't have to be compassionate towards somebody who has that inkling. And that's very, very important. That, I think, makes all of the difference in the world. You know, if it's a compassionate outlook and you feel for the person and the struggle they have to go to, and if they fail in that struggle, you understand at least that you're compassionate towards somebody, just the same way as someone is. And I think the country is a little bit heading in that direction. You've been hearing about it. That someone is a drug addict, they hurt many people, and it's terrible. Drug addiction has been treated like a crime. However, with that being the case, if you look at them as with compassion, and you say a person who has an addiction is suffering from something, and when I say suffering, I don't mean to say that we're categorizing it as a disease. What I'm saying is that this is a person who's challenged, that their sexual inclination, they're saying is that they're not attracted to a female, only to a male. That is a tremendous challenge. And if you could show compassion to a person like that and give them the encouragement to try, if they can, the best way to live a meaningful life, that's what will make all of the difference. Everything else is secondary to that. All of the details of the discussion come secondary to that.
But the issue isn't really, how nice, like what Kim Davis was writing on the wedding card for these two is. The issue is whether she had to, at least she's not Jewish, obviously, but whether what Jewish law would say about following the law there. And isn't there an issue that you have to follow the law of the land? We're not in Israel right now. Rabbi Rubenfeld, I mean, what should she have done if she were to come to you for advice?
What we brought up was a couple of factors. First and foremost, that's the concept called that in the Talmud refers to it as Eva Atar, that if a person is capable of doing something without you, let's say you're selling something and you know that they're going to buy it elsewhere instead of buying it from you, and you know that their intention is to use it for something that they're not supposed to. For example, if you're not telling them, you're not preventing them from doing it, you're only really just driving away business, you're not obligated to turn that away. And I think that would, again, this is not a halachic verdict by any stretch, but you can, I think, apply that to this situation in the sense that they don't need her in order to get this done. So all she really accomplished by doing this is getting herself thrown in jail, and I don't think Jewish law would require that of her in that sense. But we also did mention the fact that, yes, she did have the obligation, and whether we like it or not, this has become the law of the land. However, as I mentioned, that can be debated, and I think this is not really so much of a Jewish issue as much as an issue of the local law, the law of the land, in that what's interesting is they say that her state has, by 75%, voted and made it illegal in her state. So she might be keeping the law of the state as opposed to the law of the federal government, and then it becomes a question of which one trumps which is another, illegal debate in its own right.
The Supreme Court has ruled. I disagreed with the ruling, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, it's de facto legal, and there are plenty of laws that have been. I don't approve of this method done by judicial decree, which is what this one has. But no one doubts it's the law.
The question is, does the Supreme Court have the ability to force state law to, and that's where there's going to be a whole legal battle with that issue. So,
and that wasn't really her argument.
That's certainly out of my expertise. That's but it's interesting to read, and it's interesting to hear about,
The one thing I would say is, by the way, can you try to speak a little more clearly? I got to get better equipment, but just right into the phone if possible. And the thing for me is, to have the real integrity here would have been to resign her position. I mean, yeah, it's easy to say she wants that pension, but to me, that's really what a martyr for a cause is. I mean, she's not giving up her pension. She's spending a few days in jail, and getting a lot of publicity, and she'll probably make money on this in the long run. But I mean, do you agree with that assessment?
I'm not so sure that I'm comfortable going into what the people's involved motives are. I hesitate to do something like that. I think that's beyond the scope of what we can truly be accurate in. So, I feel for both sides here. I think there's a good argument to be made for everybody, or I could at least see everybody making an argument that I could come to agree with. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, look, she could have quit her job and gotten one at McDonald's, or it wouldn't be McDonald's, Chick-fil-A would be the appropriate one. And yes, I had that joke in mind. But yeah, okay. Anything more on Savo or on this situation? Because I've really taken up a lot of your time right here, and we both have to get ready for Shabbos.
No, I have it actually. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, Rabbi Avi Rubenfeld, for more information about you or about synagogue in the western suburbs of Missouri, go to chabadofchesterfield.com. You can also get information about Torah in 5 and the nightly class on the Torah, and also on high holiday services in Chesterfield, which I hope to be at least for Rosh Hashanah. All right, Rabbi, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, thanks, Hannah.